Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your home for all things Liverpool. From a £60 million Mark Guehi alternative to a surprise shift in Alexander Isak's stance, plus Alexis Mac Allister dropping big hints on new signings, and a Liverpool winger rejecting Jose Mourinho, we've got a massive transfer roundup you don't want to miss. And wait till you hear who could replace Luis Diaz for just £38 million, even better value than Rodrigo. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts on these transfer twists, and subscribe for daily LFC updates. The £60 million Mark Guehi alternative Liverpool could look to target this summer amid Ibrahima Konate uncertainty. Liverpool are keen to strengthen their defensive options this summer. Liverpool's pursuit of Newcastle United forward Alexander Isak has so far been the dominant transfer saga of the 2025 summer window. But in the background, one of the main issues the club still need to address is the future of Ibrahima Konate and whether they should be looking for a long-term replacement for the Frenchman. Konate has just 1 year to run on his contract at Anfield, the same situation both Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold all found themselves in when Arne Slot first arrived. The former Feyenoord boss was eventually able to persuade both Van Dijk and Salah to sign 2-year extensions but was unable to keep Alexander-Arnold at the club despite him being the youngest of the trio and arguably the one with strongest allegiances to Liverpool after coming through the academy. Slot will be keen to avoid a repeat of the Trent saga next summer, with Real Madrid showing strong interest in Konate and potentially using the situation to their advantage to try and buy the centre-back on a free next summer. It leaves Liverpool scouring the market for a centre-back to potentially replace Konate or at the very least add long-term competition to the Reds' backline so they can go even deeper in the upcoming Champions League campaign. Crystal Palace captain Mark Guehi has officially entered the final 12 months of his contract and interest is building. The England international was the subject of immense interest from Newcastle United last summer and was also targeted by Tottenham back in January. He's thought to be one of Arne Slot's top targets this summer. However, there are various factors that will prove crucial in whether Liverpool takes steps to formalise their interest. One is whether the price is right, with Palace turning down an offer as high as £65 million last summer, and the other is whether the defender is willing to stay at Palace now that European qualification is secured. There's also thought to be interest from Newcastle and Chelsea, who could potentially assure the player more regular football, particularly if Liverpool end up keeping Konate. Ultimately, it makes sense for Liverpool to target Guehi, if they still have the funds to do so after potentially adding Isac to their squad for £150 million or more, but it's also worth having other centre-back targets in mind. The £60 million Mark Guehi alternative Liverpool could look to target this summer. Liverpool have ambitions of not only becoming the best team in England but also becoming the dominant force on the world stage after spending more than £300 million on new recruits to create the Premier League's answer to the Galacticos. Alexander Isak's stance changing as Newcastle give game away about Liverpool target. Newcastle United are under increasing pressure over Alexander Isak's situation, with Liverpool considering a bid for the Sweden international. Liverpool and Newcastle United were closely matched during their 3 meetings last season. Off the pitch, though, is where the game is now being played between the two Premier League clubs. And rather than points or silverware being at stake, the reward in this particular case is a player, Alexander Isak. The summer's most intriguing transfer tale has dominated the landscape ever since it emerged a fortnight ago. The Reds, having been long-term admirers of the Sweden international, were now considering a serious play to snap him up in what would be a British record deal in the region of £130 million. Publicly, Liverpool have very much kept their counsel on the matter, concentrating instead on further augmenting their attack by signing Hugo Ekitike for an initial £69 million after a failed Newcastle bid for the Frenchman, and then, perhaps more pointedly, clearing the decks for a possible further new arrival by agreeing to sell Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich for £65 million. The noise has instead been coming from Newcastle, with boss Eddie Howe compelled to provide a running commentary given the continued absence of Isac from his team's pre-season preparations. Eyebrows were first raised when the Swede was sent home after being forced to miss Newcastle's friendly at Celtic earlier this month with a minor thigh complaint. But the striker's failure to travel for the Magpies' tour to the Far East was the first real sign something was afoot, and intensified speculation over the future of the 25-year-old, who had emerged, had subsequently informed Newcastle of being open to a new challenge elsewhere. Liverpool is understood to be his preferred next destination. Newcastle boss Eddie Howe was asked about Isac in Seoul on Tuesday. "He is still our player, he's contracted to us," he said. "We, to a degree, control what is next for him. I would love to believe all possibilities are still available to us. My wish is that he stays, but that's not in my full control." Hardly the most convincing of responses, although, in fairness, Howe is in something of an impossible position. While understandably unable to promise Isac will stay, he also doesn't want to risk upsetting a want-away player in case a transfer doesn't come to fruition and the striker has to be welcomed back into the fold. But everything points to the gradual weakening of Newcastle's previously steadfast stance. Isac is not for sale this summer. Indeed, the interest in RB Leipzig forward Benjamin Sesko and Brentford's Yoane Wissa is widely being interpreted as the Magpies attempting to fill the void before engaging in the prospect of parting ways with Isac. Liverpool star Alexis Mac Allister makes new signings prediction after "amazing" claim. Liverpool have been extremely active in the transfer market since winning the Premier League, with Alexis Mac Allister welcoming several new teammates this summer. Alexis Mac Allister believes Liverpool's new signings can fire them to even more glory. The Reds have spent almost £300 million so far in this window, and they're not stopping yet, with forward Alexander Isak in their sights as well as a centre-back. They've smashed the British transfer record to land £116 million man Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, while Jeremy Frimpong has also arrived from the same club for £29 million. They've landed forward Hugo Ekitike in a £79 million deal from Eintracht Frankfurt, while £40 million has gone on Milos Kerkez, the left-back they've signed from Bournemouth. While the Reds also brought in keeper Georgi Mamardashvili from Valencia for close to £30 million. Isac is likely to cost north of £120 million as well, with Crystal Palace centre-back Mark Guehi one target for the defence as boss Arne Slot and sporting director Richard Hughes build a squad to fight for 4 trophies. This all comes on the back of the Reds winning the Premier League title last term at a canter and their favourites to win number 21 next season. Mac Allister is currently training with the new recruits who have already joined as they prepare for the new campaign on a tour of the Far East. "It's amazing," Mac Allister said about the quality of the squad. "I think we've made great additions to the team. They are showing in every single training session how good they are. We are really happy with that. Now it's about knowing the characteristics of the new players, getting used to playing together. I'm pretty sure that this will be a very good season for us. They brought new energy, good energy, especially Jeremy. They are always smiling. You can see how happy they are to be here, and hopefully they can help us to win more titles." Mac Allister won't feature in Wednesday's friendly against Yokohama F. Marinos at Nissan Stadium in Japan. But he is hoping to be ready for the start of the season. Liverpool face Crystal Palace in the Community Shield a week on Sunday before they open their Premier League title defence against Bournemouth on Friday, August 15. The Argentina midfielder has struggled through the summer after missing the final 2 games of last season with a few injury issues. Asked if he expects to be available for the start of the campaign, Mac Allister said, "Yeah, hopefully. That's the idea. As I said, I need to work on my physical shape and get used again to the level of the boys. But I'm feeling really good, training with the team, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be fine for the beginning of the season and hopefully for the Community Shield as well." Liverpool winger rejects Jose Mourinho interest in favour of Serie A move. Chiesa makes Serie A preference clear as Liverpool exit looms. Federico Chiesa's brief and unfulfilled spell at Liverpool appears to be nearing its conclusion. After just 1 season on Merseyside, the Italian winger seems poised for an exit, with strong suggestions he is seeking a permanent return to Italy. According to Calciomercato, Chiesa has now made his transfer preference clear if he is to leave Liverpool, which he's intending to do permanently rather than on loan. Signed for £10 million from Juventus in August 2024, the 27-year-old was a calculated gamble for a Liverpool side navigating both transition and expectation under Arne Slot. Injuries, however, plagued his first year. He made just 14 appearances across all competitions, with only one Premier League start, according to Transfermarkt. With no place in the squad for Liverpool's pre-season tour of the Far East, his exclusion spoke volumes about his future. Serie A return beckons for Chiesa. Chiesa's preference is understood to be a return to Serie A, where his stock remains high despite his misfortunes in England. Calciomercato reports that, despite interest from the Saudi Pro League and Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce, the 27-year-old is set to snub the ex-Manchester United manager in favour of a return to Serie A. Clubs such as Atalanta, AS Roma, Napoli and AC Milan have been linked, with the latter two emerging as frontrunners due to Chiesa's previous relationships with Max Allegri and Antonio Conte. For a player seeking a club where he can return to prominence and benefit from a top-level salary, the fit seems natural. Liverpool, according to the same report, are hopeful of recouping €15 million, £13 million, though a slightly lower fee may be accepted to facilitate a move before the window closes. Frustrated opportunity at Anfield. Chiesa's potential was never in doubt, but the timing of his Liverpool move and subsequent injury setbacks worked against him. Luis Diaz's imminent sale to Bayern Munich has thinned Liverpool's attacking depth, yet Chiesa still finds himself on the periphery. It is telling that he was not given the opportunity to travel with Slot's squad for pre-season. With Mohamed Salah expected to miss part of the campaign due to international duty at the Africa Cup of Nations, many fans had hoped this might be Chiesa's chance to stake a claim. But as things stand, it appears that chapter is already closing. Even with emerging talents such as Florian Wirtz, Harvey Elliott and Dominic Szoboszlai capable of stepping into advanced roles, the departure of another senior forward raises questions over squad depth. Should Liverpool also land a marquee forward like Alexander Isak, it may signal a broader reshuffle rather than a straight replacement. Better deal than Rodrigo, Liverpool enter race to sign £38 million Diaz replacement. Liverpool were at the foot of an unscalable mountain when Jurgen Klopp up and left at the end of the 2023-24 season, but Arne Slot has since proved himself a more than worthy successor. He won the Premier League in his first term at the helm, after all. And the Dutchman did it, having been rewarded with minimal spending in the transfer market, Federico Chiesa the only first-team addition, and starting just once in the top flight all year. Now, though, Liverpool have built themselves up and are financially able to spend freely this summer, with the evidence lying with the acquisitions of recent months, including the British record £116 million signing of Florian Wirtz. However, with Luis Diaz on the verge of finalising his move to Bayern Munich, a new left winger may be needed too. Why Liverpool are selling Luis Diaz? Diaz has been one of the Premier League standout wingers over the past few years. His return of 25 goal contributions last year was a haul bettered only by that man, Mohamed Salah, as Liverpool steamrolled their way to the league title. But the 28-year-old has also entered the penultimate year of his contract, and the relevant parties have been unable to find common ground when discussing the possibility of an extension. The Colombian had also made it clear to the powers that be that he wanted to leave this summer. Such demands undoubtedly centered around financial desires, and justified ones at that, but the fact remains that Slot would not want an unhappy leading squad member to remain in the ranks. Diaz is on the cusp of his big move, and though the thought of Real Madrid's Rodrigo is exciting, the Brazilian having been routinely linked with the Reds of late, the finances involved would be too much, especially with a deal for Isac in the works. Instead, FSG might be convinced to head down a shrewder track. Liverpool enter race for Rodrigo alternative. As per Spanish reports, Liverpool have entered the race for RB Leipzig's Antonio Nusa, though the report claims that Rodrigo very much remains on FSG's shortlist. Nusa, 20, is early into his professional career but has earned acclaim for his performances, with previous reports this summer detailing Newcastle United's interest, claiming he would be available for a €45 million, £38 million, fee. Given how much cheaper this would be than signing Rodrigo, who is believed to have been priced at an initial £78 million by Los Blancos. This might be a rumour FSG want to chase, why Liverpool should sign Antonio Nusa. Cody Gakpo will reprise his role as Liverpool's chief left-sided forward next year, having matched Diaz's 25 goal involvements last year. Pundit Peter Crouch remarked that he'd gone up a level since Slot arrived. The Netherlands international's abiding place in Slot's plans means that Nusa will be able to jump right into the thick of things without being overburdened by responsibility.